It's been a while since it feels like I've done a vlog. I think I did it a few days ago. Before I was doing it almost like every day. Just because I just wanted to share, my experience going through all of this stuff. And, I don't think people truly grasp, the brevity or the magnanimity of what it means to be targeted, by adults, adult bullies, and then trying to prove that is really hard and futile because, we're all entitled to have, number one, we have human rights, right? And civil rights and all that stuff. And to have those civil rights or civic freedoms basically ousted, or I don't know if revoke, you can't really revoke human rights. It's just you have people obstruct them or, abuse those or walk all over them, and you ask yourself, well, how do I overcome this and stuff like that? I don't know, I don't know. I've never been in this position before, and I'm very confused, I will be honest, because there's moments where I'm like, even to this day, I'm like, why would an adult, bully another adult? It doesn't make any sense to me. And how do I mean that? Like, there's people, they'll hack you, noise harassment, so like, you can't go to sleep, or it's just every 2 seconds, it's just like loud noises, people slamming doors in your building, banging on things, just, really petty stuff like that. And for me, it feels like a marathon, like a never-ending story. I've still had my food messed with and tampered with. Unfortunately, I've been a victim of people, gaslighting me, the same old. And I really strive, or I try to keep a positive attitude throughout the whole thing. If you followed my journey so far, I've been trying to find work, and I recently, that's another thing that I've noticed. That's the next tactic. So be mindful of people that are going through the same thing that I am, unfortunately. And it's so crazy because, like, I forget that people are living normal lives. I forget that people, people go to weddings and, they take their kids to daycare and life goes on. And meanwhile, it's like I'm sitting here struggling every day to not die, because people try to threaten you and try to get you close to death. I'm not kidding when I say that. It is absolutely terrifying, and I don't really like talking about it because what you speak, manifests. If you don't know the law of attraction, the book called The Secret, I'm sure people have heard of that. That was like a super popular book at one point. It was everywhere in Barnes & Noble at one point, and on Amazon. And it's this idea that, like, what you think you attract. So I'm very big on that. It's really disheartening. I've tried to figure out and tell myself, I'm like, is it the government? Is it this and that? And I go, how do I navigate that, How do I navigate, because, I mean, that's such a broad term, right? When you say government, because all the targeted people are like, oh, it's the government, you're being targeted by this, this, and this. And I'm like, but why would they do that? You know what I mean? That's my question, because I'm not like a terrorist. I've never done anything bad. I've jaywalked a few times. I littered once. I've never stolen anything. And then that's the thing, I think people try to get you involved in crimes or get you to commit a crime, and I'm like, but I would never do that because I don't, and I feel like there's people that, honestly, the people who do this, I feel like they don't care about the law, Like, I think they think they're above the law. But it takes a really petty person to know. This is my thing. It's like, imagine someone's in pain, right? Like, imagine that that someone is, like, hurting, right? And then you actively, it's like getting a wound and then flicking the wound and, like, putting more acid on it, And that's what I think has happened to me, and I go, how could people do that to someone? How could you lie about someone? How could you scare someone into submission? How could anyone do that? Like, I'm still dealing with the whole food issue where I have people messing with my food. Still. And you ask, well, how do they do that, Ashley? If the box is sealed or closed? I'm not a food scientist. I'm not a food chemist, so I really can't give you that answer. And yes, I'm doing a partial get ready with me. I feel like my routine is pretty simple. It's like the same thing. I have noticed though my hair is very oily. So I put less product in it. For years I've been trying to figure out what is the best course of action for my hair, because my hair is I have thick hair, and it's funny because I've lost a lot of hair, and I have been continuing to lose hair. And you would say, well, that's impossible because look how much hair you have. It looks like you have a shit ton, and it does. So imagine if you want to see some updates, which I don't mind sharing, how much hair that I've lost. Because I do think I'm being poisoned with heavy metals like silver, tin, aluminum, because I did do a heavy metals test and it said that my aluminum levels were through the roof, and I'm just like, how does that even happen? God forbid, I mean, knock on wood or knock on cement wall, that I haven't had a heart attack. I have had chest pains, which aren't fun. Like I've laid down, and I have had chest pains. I did, and I feel weird talking about this because I feel like I'm complaining, and I don't want to do that. I want to talk about things that are of relevance and importance, right? That can get people thinking and stuff like that. But I think it is important because, you know, people that are targeted, unfortunately, you know, we don't really get the voice. We don't have people. Maybe sometimes people are championing us, you know, in rooms that we're not present in. But more often than not, you basically, you become a victim of, you know, what they call is learned helplessness. It's a psychological concept, or a concept in psychology, where basically you end up learning, you end up by default, just because of a certain situation or circumstance, you end up just not playing the victim, but just by default becoming the victim, and you acquire this self-concept of being someone not feeble or weak, but just not being able to acquire or attain the help that you deserve. So, yeah. For me, it's been very difficult to prove, because I unfortunately still have, and it's so abusive, you know. It's so abusive, and I don't know, I've tried to figure out who are the ones that did it, you know. My bag just fell over. I have a recycling bag, and it was too heavy. This is interesting. So, yes, and I do like to recycle. I'm very big on sustainability and being eco-friendly. So, yeah, it's been really hard to try to figure out who or what is behind all of this stuff. And I'm the kind of person is I don't like confrontation anyways. So like, it's hard. It's difficult, and I don't like to complain either. I had a teacher in high school who she literally made us wear these purple bracelets from nocomplaints.org or something, and she's like, whenever you want to complain, remember, look down at your bracelet and, you know, think twice before doing that, just because, you know, complaining is negative, but it's also, I think if you speak your truth in a graceful way, that's important too, because like I said, when you become a victim of learned helplessness, you kind of learn to just be compliant or complicit or acquiesce to bullshit, you know, and that's not fair, right? Because we all matter, and people that are bullies, whether they touch you or not, they want to make you feel inferior. And there's that quote from the movie The Princess Diaries. Hector Elizondo, the actor in that movie, I'll never forget, he tells Mia, the character, that he says, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. And that was when she, like, you know, she had a transformation, and she did her hair, and, you know, she was nervous to you know, nervous to stand on her own 2 feet because, you know, for so long she was just looked at as the wallflower, and then she slowly, you know, because she's the whole princess thing, they transformed her into, like, you know, this pretty, you know, person with being, you know, having her hair done and makeup and all nails and learning proper etiquette and stuff. Not that, I mean, I don't know, that's not really my story. I'm not a princess, but it's kind of like when you're targeted and you finally choose yourself, you know, you choose to, because you realize that, you know, no one's going to come in exactly to rescue you, unfortunately. For the people that are targeted, I'm not trying to be, I mean, in my mind, I always think I have the Audrey Hepburn idea of that, like, you know, not some guy's going to come in on a white horse and be like, I will rescue you from your dungeon, you know. It's not really that. It's like you have to employ the self-care and the techniques to help yourself, because in reality, what I've learned after going through this whole experience is that people are very self-interested. So if it doesn't directly benefit them, they won't help you, unfortunately. Usually there has to be some, not a stipulation, but some sort of incentive for behavior. And we're all incentivized, right? Like when I do surveys, I get paid to do a survey, and that's why I do the survey. I'm just kind of itchy right now. So it's the same idea that, you know, and that's where the word, you know, chivalry, valor, altruism, those things that you read about in books, like, if you don't know the Bhagavad Gita, when I was the yoga teacher, that was a really big, like, that was an important book in our lectures. You know, and that's the story of Arjun, I believe, and he goes on this journey. You know, it's like a hero's journey, right? Or Hercules, which is the, you know, the Greek story of Hercules, or anyone who's, you know, goes through a really hard journey of some sort. But what my biggest qualm, the biggest thing that I'm trying to figure out is how could a human spirit or a human soul be so mean that they know, right? Like, people know. I'm sure maybe some people know about what I've gone through or whatever. How could you even fathom, as a person, conjuring up a scheme, or if you know someone's like hurting, right? Let's say you know someone's sick, or they're depressed, or they're tired, or literally physically sick. Like I got sick the past 2 weeks. It's been about 14 days almost that I've had, and I got really nervous about it, but I've had a cold, and I thought it was COVID. I did take a COVID test that I've had with me for several years now. I had extras, and I took that, and it said it was negative, but then some time passed by, and there was like a slight faint line, so I think I did have COVID. So I think I had like the antibodies maybe for that, or not the antigen, but the antibodies. Because that's ultimately, right, I think that's how it works. It'll detect the antibodies. Like when you have any sort of disease or illness or sickness, your body builds up an immunity, so therefore the test will detect the antigens, right? So anyways, but I've been sick for, it was 2 weeks. I had not a great sore throat. I was very tired. I felt like I had an elephant sitting on my chest. It was horrible, and I got really nervous because also I'm on Medicaid. I don't know why I'm saying that. Thank God for Medicaid. Like, I mean, it hasn't activated yet, but every state that I've lived in, like, it started when I was in Virginia. That's when I got on that. So please, if the government is watching, please don't take away Medicaid. Please don't. There are people, I get that there's a lot of Medicaid fraud and whatnot, and I'm not really well versed in that kind of stuff, and fraud and waste management and whatever, in that respect, but I do know that there are people who really, really do need it, and they're like me. Like, I'm in a situation where I, you know, it's been beneficial for me. I will be honest, some of the doctors, you don't get treated, sometimes people have biases because you're already, like, screened as, like, being low income or whatever, so, you know, people, like, automatically judge you, right? They're like, oh, you're on dummies, you're a poor person. How are you poor? You need to work harder. And it's like, well, you don't know my story. You don't know what I've been through. And how I was fine a few years ago, and then because of Oh my god, see, look at this. This is what I mean. Hair like this will just come out. You see, that's a lot of hair. You want to see already how much hair has come out? That's how much hair has come out. Ow! I just burned myself. See, I need to pay attention because then I could literally hurt myself while doing this. And if you're wondering, no, this is not, I'm not doing this in the morning. This is actually at like 7:30 in the evening. Let me ask. Ziggy, what time is it?
It's 7:56 p.m.
Oh, sorry. 7:56 p.m. I realized I am very much a night owl. I started a course on Coursera where I wanted to understand trauma better and eating habits and, you know, sleep patterns, because I'm very self-aware, and I recognize that, like, I probably developed some not great, you know, coping behaviors, or maladaptive, I guess that's the technical word, is maladaptive coping behaviors because of trauma. And that's another thing. It's like, imagine people knowing that you've been through stuff, right? And then people, they what's the word? They deepen the gash, you know? They make the wound worse. Like, imagine knowing someone's hurting or grieving, right? Even though I'm still alive, I still grieve because the life that I don't have anymore, how things kind of just fell apart, and I've had to enact this strength all the time, every day, because I still, like I said, I still get worried about my food being tampered with and messed with. And it really does, I go, how could people do that, you know? And why would they do that? Like, I think people have used things I'm allergic to, like nickel. I'm allergic, you know, like when you talk about nickel, the heavy metal, I'm allergic to that. I thought I developed an allergy maybe to lactose, but even when I do plant-based milks, I still have trouble with those. And if you say, oh, then you need to eliminate dairy altogether from your diet, I don't think that's the case. I never had any issues with dairy products before, but until I started getting targeted, things that I once tolerated or my body was used to started, you know, having reactions to. But I think that's because of other things like poisons and heavy metals and stuff. But my biggest thing lately, and maybe other people that are targeted, you can speak on this as well, like, how do you, I did a video on coping and how I cope as a person. Music has been instrumental, no pun intended. I don't play any instruments. I tried to learn how to play piano at one point. I did have a piano teacher. I learned how to play a little bit of Make You Feel My Love by Adele, or no, Bonnie Raitt, I think, sang that song. And I learned Ode to Joy. I learned a little bit of Moonlight Sonata and Claire de Lune, and a little bit of Gravity from Sarah Bareilles. Those were like, so, yeah. If I can go back in time, I would have taken it more seriously, because piano is beautiful. I did try to learn how to play acoustic guitar as well, because my brother played it. He played electric and acoustic, but he's a lefty, and I'm a righty. And also your nails. I don't know how people that are musicians, how they play, because you have to get a guitar pick. It's hard. And you can't ever do your nails because it's like, you know, they'll get like, but I did learn how to, you know, there's Guitar Center in Miami, and I was like, maybe I can learn how to play guitar. Because music is very healing. The arts is very healing and therapeutic, and that's why I'm such a big proponent of that. But lately, my biggest thing is, you know, I'm trying to understand how people, especially adults, you know, I can understand. I did a video on this before, and I go, thoughts on adult bullies and stuff. And forget about gang stalking or targeting. It's the same thing. It's almost like, you know, in the movie Legally Blonde, where she prejudges her in the store because she's blonde, right? Reese Witherspoon's character. And she automatically tries to trick her into buying a dress that was like, it was on discount. It wasn't in season. And because Elle Woods character, she knows her stuff, and she's like, I'm not going to buy last year's dress at this year's price. It's kind of like that. People who set you up for failure, you know, and then they don't care about it. And then when you catch them in their lie, they're like, they get angry, and then they project the anger onto you, and it's like, but I'm not the one who did anything wrong. You lied to me, you know? That's what I don't understand. And in dating, the same thing goes in dating too. And I don't know if I should share my recent experiences with dating. I don't know. Because I did a whole video of like dating as a target person or whatever. I've been sharing that, and I don't know. I honestly think the way that you present yourself or the way you show up in the world and, you know, your attitude towards things determines a lot of what you manifest, you know. So like, and it's hard, I will say it's hard as a targeted person to like, you know, continue to choose to keep showing up and to keep going. Like I recently got hired for a job and I keep wondering to myself, is it a joke? Is it a scam? And it's sad because this is the regular pattern of what I've had to do is I'll get hired for a job, which I did, I got hired for a job. But then because I doubt people's intentions, I automatically default to like, okay, I think it's gonna be a joke and I need to continue looking for another job. You know, literally, like I'm not kidding, I'll be like, okay, I need to, because what if they trick me? What if there's bullies? What if there's, and if you say, Ashley, being bullied is not an excuse to leave a job, because a lot of people get bullied at their job, right? But then I'm such a big proponent of, you know, you want to love where you work, right? Like there have been jobs I've had as a waitress in child life that I really, 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 I loved what I did. And some of the floors, like when I was a child life specialist, some of the floors that I worked on, I literally, like, I loved the people that I worked with. And that's a blessing, because a lot of times, especially in child life, if you don't know what that is, a lot of people look at child life specialists as play people who just bring toys to kids. And to have people recognize you as someone as more than that, you know, as a competent child development professional, essentially, or psychosocial support, like, you know, allied professional in that respect, it's just, you know, like, that's a blessing. And I don't know, lately, like in the remote work world, when I first started looking for remote work, and the reason why I did that was because, number one, I am a pet parent. I have my dog with me, and I know that if I worked anywhere outside the home, she would be devastated. And I know there's dog walkers, I know there's like pet sitters, but like to me it's like, if you're gonna have a pet, you know, and if you're gonna have that expense, because it is an expense, pets are very expensive, like, you know, you have to be ready for the food, you have to be ready for if they get sick, you have to take care of the vet bills, you have to get pet insurance. I don't have pet insurance now, I should get pet insurance, because God forbid she gets sick. She's looking at me like, bitch. She's like, stop talking, bitch. If I could read your mind, you're like, stop talking, bitch. She's like, she's giving me the side eye right now. She's, if you see her, see, that's the closet, but it's also doubles as the room, but she's right there. She's sitting in the corner. When she hears loud noises and stuff, like when it was July 4th, and people were sort of starting fireworks, she goes into her corner and she sits there. I don't blame you, baby. I like little cozy spaces too. So, yeah, but yeah, that's usually my go-tos when I get hired somewhere. Lately, I automatically default to thinking that it's like not gonna work out, because based on past experiences, I've had like petty people, like very subtly and like passive aggressively, they'll wear something that's relevant to my life, or like they'll have something in their background, or their name will reference someone from my family or their life. And I try not to think about it too much, but that's usually what happens. And it's frustrating, you know, it's very frustrating. Because the frustrating part about it is that I don't think like that as a person. So I can't try on the idea of how could someone sit there and put effort and thought into undermining and sabotaging someone psychologically. Like, I can understand like a 5th grader who's like in that period of brain development where their frontal lobe is not fully developed and their emotions and cognitive ability, you know, where they're trying to, you know, figure out their place in the world, and, you know, puberty and hormones. But these are adults we're talking about, you know, adults, like adult bullies. The dating thing, I don't really apply it too much, because I look at guys as jerks. Like, if there's a term in the targeting community called honeypots, and it's this idea that they'll send like people to butter you up and like be nice to you, but they have like ulterior motives and stuff. And I'm just like, or they'll have a double life, or they'll be married and they'll try to hurt you and stab you in the back. And I'm like, bro, I'm not overly confident, but I know that I would be a good partner to someone. Like, I know I'd be a good girlfriend to somebody, or a good friend. So, like, if they do that to me, and they have the intention of trying to hurt me, I'm like, it's your loss, not mine, because I know what I can offer you. You know, maybe I may not be super rich, you know, I may not have a lot, but I know that I have a lot of love to give, and I'd be very loyal, and I'm very honest. Like, I'm very, very honest. Maybe too much. I don't know. So, to me, it's like, but my biggest thing is, how could someone, this is what I've been thinking about lately, and then I'm going to kind of sign off. I'm going to finish doing my makeup, but I'm going to sign off. But my biggest thing lately is, how could an adult, if you know that someone's hurting or grieving, how can you exacerbate that? Like, how could you see someone and you're like, ooh, I'm gonna get her so bad, I'm gonna make her life miserable, I'm gonna treat her like shit, oh, she thinks she's gonna enjoy her life. I mean, but there are people who literally do that. Like, there are people who are so miserable that their whole life is based around sabotaging another person's life. I mean, think about it. Life is a gift, right? You have 24 hours in a day, and how you decide to spend your day is up to you. But it's like, if you're going to hyper-focus on someone else's life, then either you're insanely jealous or envious, or you lack poor emotional self-regulation or anger management, because it's like, you have 24 hours in a day. Why are you going to sit there and pick on? Like, wouldn't you want, like when I wake up, I'm like, I focus on my to-do list, and then I focus on, like, I'm really big on self-development. I know my discipline has been kind of wonky, self-discipline, but I've also, my brain, psychologically and physiologically, I know that trauma is stored in the body, in the cells, in your brain, in the nervous system. So navigating that has been a little bit difficult, and I always come back to the quote that healing requires safety, and I still don't feel safe, you know. I literally don't feel safe in my home, in my building. And I think people, honestly, I think they're treating this as a joke. Like, I think there's higher ups and stuff, or people catfishing me, or like tricking me, and they think it's funny, and they know that I'm intuitive or whatever, and they're like, let's see if this girl picks up on this, you know. And I have a very effervescent spirit. I'm very, like, I'm young at heart, you know. I'm not your average 34-year-old woman. I'm kind of quirky and a little nerdy, which is fine for me. I don't want to be like a slutty party girl. That's not really my thing. I would go to a sports game. I don't mind that. I'm not really your sports girl either. I'm just kind of like the girl that if I could hang out in a bookstore all day and drink tea, or that's what I used to do when I was back home where I grew up in Coral Gables. That's literally, I would either go for a run. I was really big on health and wellness, and I still kind of am, but I've lost sight of that a little bit. But I used to go for runs a lot, like jogging. I used to jog a lot, but then my knee, I would get pain in my left knee, like the not anterior, posterior, like, what is it, in the I can't say that, the popliteal. Anyways, it's in the back of my knee, and because I think I sustained an injury in high school when I was playing for field day. It was like years ago when we were playing dodgeball. And yeah, but I used to go running a lot, and I used to do yoga outside just on my own volition. And I've stopped that. I know I probably should do that because sweat gets rid of toxins in the body, and lactic acid buildup. So I don't know. I haven't done that as of late. Maybe I should. But I also have been trying to regain weight because I lost a lot of weight because of that food poisoning thing that happened several months ago, which I feel very lucky to be alive from. So yeah, but I just it's very strange that for people to pick on other people. And how do they do it? Well, if you have time on your hands and you're not a targeted person and you want to work towards social justice, you can Google it. But it's like, you know, they'll allegedly pay people to walk around you, and, you know, they'll say snarky comments, like, under their breath, like, with triggers, like, they'll use your trigger words or things that you're scared of. They'll say that. Let me see what time it is. And then they'll like, you know, they'll wear shirts that are like, I was gonna say will. Maybe I do, when I have Freudian slips, it's usually God's way or an angel's way of kind of communicating with me. And maybe there's a will involved, so maybe someone's in someone's will, I don't know. Take that what you will with it, but maybe someone's name is Will or William. Do what you will with that, no pun intended, or pun intended. But yeah, I just, it's been really weird. This whole thing has been so strange, and I just can't wrap my head around the fact that there are people who actually get so jealous, or they'll get petty, because I go, what is the motive for that kind of behavior? You know, why does someone sit there? And I go, is it for science? Like, is it a case study? Am I like being watched and, you know, for my behavior to see how I react to certain things? Or is it because my, like, a spiritual gift? And I'm like, but everyone's psychic to an extent. We're all intuitive. We have that emotional GPS in us, right? So I don't know why people would do that. And some people get targeted at random, but then other people, there's a motive. I mean, I'm not going to get into that. I've already spoken about my story and how things started or where it originated from. But my biggest thing today, I woke up, I took a long nap, because rest is really important. And I just was like, how could people do this, you know? Because recently there was a job that you know, the latest thing now is, please be mindful, people. Like, if you're actively looking for work, the latest thing that scammers do is they will create fake job postings. People are doing that now, and they'll try to get you to put your bank information, or I don't know why people do it. I don't know what's the point exactly, but I've been a victim now of like 2 or 3 fake job interviews. Or they'll send you like a Microsoft Teams link, and then you do like they'll ask you to do like a questionnaire and to do an assessment. And like recently, that's happened to me for a preschool coordinator position in another state remotely, and I did the whole thing. I literally did the whole assessment, and then I got scammed where they wanted me to deposit $5,000 into my bank account, but it was a faulty check. I thought it was a real check, and they said, use this money to buy the equipment, you know, for the job. And yeah, I don't understand that. Like, how could you do that to someone? How could you? And I mean, maybe, I don't know, scammers, I guess they do it for money, I'm assuming. I don't know what would have culminated from that if I actually, like, if they sent me a link to try to buy stuff. But luckily, my deductive reasoning skills, my cyber sleuth detective skills, I told myself, I go, this doesn't feel right. I go, you know, because coordinators for administrative positions or operational positions in schools, you know, even if it's a private school, it's unheard of that you would get. It was about, I think, $80,000. No, I'm not kidding. It was an $80,000 job position, and I go, that doesn't seem right, to be the right-hand person of an administrator for a preschool. I was like, that doesn't seem right. If you see how much hair, oh my God. Look at all this. I mean, it doesn't look like a lot, but it is a lot. It just, so yeah. I ended up learning that was a scam, and you know, lately and I tell myself, well, if they do typical interviews, you know, because sometimes people can create a background for an interview and superimpose a logo, and I go, who would go such lengths to create a fake job to just trick someone, you know? That's what I don't understand. Like, who would do that? I would never do that. I would never do that. So I just, I don't know. I don't understand. I'm really struggling with, and maybe it's just because my soul doesn't feel settled. Because I know, like, you know when you could feel that people are talking about you, or people are trying to actively trick you or hurt you? That's what I'm going through right now, and it's frustrating because I can feel that energy, right? I feel it going on, and I don't know how to combat that, because I'm like, do I write the governor? Do I write, like, who do I contact for that? Like the police, if that doesn't work, you know,
I've done that already. I contacted the police in Virginia. Like when I was in Virginia in my apartment, I was sensing weird gases and stuff, and they looked at me and they're like, "What do you mean?" They're like, "Well, the next time you sense that, just call the fire department," and then they'll, you know. And then when they come, it doesn't happen, right, when they're there, so then you look crazy. I don't know anymore, you know, I don't know. I'm gonna say bad things happen to good people. It's just like, it really is true. And I just, it's, I guess what I'm trying to understand, I don't know if it's psychopathology, but like the basis or the reasons as to why people hurt other people. You know what I mean? Like, why would someone actively gather a group together, whether it's in government, a religious organization, a city, a community, why would they do that to one person? I mean, how evil can you be? Right? Think about it. Like, how evil can you be to say, hey, we're going to all gather up together, and I'm sure there's a group chat that's formed, because they need to communicate with each other, right? So that means there's group chats, email threads, forums online, because they can't carry out, I hate the word execute, but they can't facilitate the whole thing unless they have some way of communicating with each other. And my thing is, if I was a police officer, I go, if I knew about this and I knew that someone's life was in danger and they were being actively like hunted or like bullied, even if it's just psychologically, there's no way I would let that fly. And I'm like a really non-confrontational person. It would take a lot for me to like be like, put your hands in the air, I'm gonna arrest you. You know, I can't do it. I don't know, if I was motivated and impassioned enough, probably. I have to be motivated by injustice. Like, if I saw someone being hurt, I would maybe feel compelled to do it. But I don't have the personality for that. I'm like the pacifist. I'm the person that would probably try to rehabilitate a criminal to try to change their life around, not, you know, not be like, put your hands in the air, waving like you just don't care. And that's the thing, I don't think people care. That's the problem. So I'm just trying to figure out how to navigate that, you know. And then with family too, I'm trying to figure out, because if they're watching, Mom, if you're watching, I'm not trying to make you mad. I'm just, you know, I am an adult and I am free to do as I please. You know, I'm not 14 or 15 anymore. And I did my whole YouTube thing to try to offer peer support to people who were going through trauma and bullying and stuff like that. So, yeah. And, what else? What was I gonna say? So, that's another thing, is navigating that and trying to relay those things to family, right? Because oftentimes with gang stalking, they get your family in on it, which is really sad, because they'll lie about you to family members, or they'll try to disprove you and be like, oh, your daughter is this, and she did this, and I'm like, I did nothing of the sort, you know, or they'll threaten them. So what I have heard is that people in families will get blackmailed, so they basically threaten the family members. They have stuff on family members, right, and they'll try to like bargain with them, and the gang stalker people, and they'll try to like blackmail them into submission so that, you know, they turn against you or they betray you, and it's like, and here's the thing, right? My family, I was so lucky, and I was very privileged in the sense that I never went a day without food. My parents, whatever car, and I'm not really big into cars. I mean, I like cars, but I'm not like super like into fancy stuff like Mercedes, Jaguar, Acura, Lexus, you know, like the fancy cars. That's not really my thing. I like more like Toyota or Ford or Kia or Jeep. That's kind of more my thing. I'm not into, you know, people have like the Bugattis and the Maseratis and whatnot. That's not really, I'm sure they're pretty on the inside. I know they cost a pretty penny, Rolls Royces and all that, but that's not really my thing. I don't know, I like rugged like SUVs and stuff. I don't know why. I don't know why. And I'm such a girly girl, you would think that I wouldn't want that. But yeah, I had everything. I mean, I went to like, and I mentioned this before, I would go to we'd go to dinner almost we had family friends that we knew, like adult family friends. My parents had friends, and we would go to dinner we went out to dinner, and I felt guilty about that because I went to schools later on, like public high schools, where I saw people who didn't have that, and they didn't have, like, my parents went to every ballet recital, my spelling bees, my when I did musical theater at one point, because I did musical theater. I still to this day I go, how the fuck did I do that stuff? Because I'm like painstakingly shy, so I must have had really good teachers who like forced me to come out of my shell. But I do like the costumes and stuff and the dancing. I think that's what really, and my brother did it. My brother did musical theater, so, and I loved my brother so much. We were like really close at one point. He and I were like best friends at one point. I'm not kidding. He was like the one person that could make me laugh. And but I really, and I had, you know, Christmas family get-togethers, like where, I mean, my Nana would, and I don't want to cry about it. I always end up crying when I talk about my family because it really is tragic. Like, it really is tragic. Because of this situation that happened 6 years ago, there was just such disagreements about things, about whether it happened or not, or, you know, and instead of like, it was like, I felt like some people tried to make me feel like in my family, like I was crazy, and like, oh, you need to see a doctor. And when I say doctor, like psychiatrist, and I'm like, I know it happened. I was there, and just because I don't have photo proof or evidence doesn't, like, if my kid came up to me, if I had a son or daughter, right, fictitious son, I'm gonna call him Mateo, because in Jane the Virgin, she names her kid Mateo, and I was like, that name is Matthew, which I think the name Matthew means gift from God, if I'm not mistaken. And so Mateo. I also like the name Grace. I don't know. Charlotte Grace has always been a name or Lily Grace, or I don't know. If I had a daughter and her name is Grace, and she comes up to me and she says, Mom, this thing happened to me, and it's really scary, and I don't have much to prove it, but I know it's happening, and I'm really scared. I would never, ever by the way, Child Development 101, you never, ever invalidate a child's feelings. Ever. You never you validate them. Even if you disagree, you say, okay, it's okay, we'll figure it out. You're not crazy, I'm here for you. I got the opposite. It was like, and I know they say actions speak louder than words, and my family has, like, whenever I needed to move, they've helped me move. They've helped pack up my things and move me wherever, except when I went from Virginia to Vermont. That was the only time that they didn't help me move. But, and Vermont to Indiana. But the other times they did help me move. So that's kind of, I'm just confused, because my childhood I had a picture perfect childhood. And now it's like, it was, 6 years ago. Lately things have gotten better because I told myself I'm not going to let this ruin my family dynamics. But then I also remember and remind myself that in gang stalking, it's like the art of war, where like people will use people closest to you. Because that's what I've learned recently, that enemies are usually not the ones that are distant from you. It's usually, because the lady said strangers can sting you, enemies can hurt you. Meaning, because they're the people who have direct access to you, who know your schedule, who know your ins and outs and stuff, they're the ones who can, really hurt you. So, I have to be mindful of that. And when you're too trusting, that's like the perfect weapon for someone. Gain their trust, right? And then if someone has your trust, they can do huge damage. Think about it. If someone has your trust, they can literally go in and tell you anything and you'll believe it, because you're like, oh, I trust you, you'll never hurt me. So people can come in, whether it's a best friend, a lover, a boyfriend, a spouse. So be mindful of your people, folks. You don't want to say sleeping with the enemy, but like there is like that saying about that. Because when people have access to you, direct access, they know, your schedule, they know your likes and dislikes. So what perfect way, right? It's like, think about it, like, in the spy movies, what's the best way that people try to gain access to their adversary? Oh, go in there, act like what movie's coming to mind? The Inglourious Bastards. I forgot what that's about, but I know Diane Kruger, I think her name is. And then, Brad Pitt, I think, is in that movie, and I forgot what the premise is, but that movie's coming to mind, and I think they tried to pretend to be like, you know, on the side of the Nazis, but that's how, right, I think that's how it works when people infiltrate things. You have to act like, oh yeah, I'm for you, but really I'm against you, but you pretend to be an ally, and then you're not, and that's the sad part. It's kind of like the Trojan horse, right? I forgot what story that was where they brought a Trojan horse, and in the horse they had people to go into the town and fuck shit up. Excuse my language, I keep checking the time. But, yeah, that's kind of frustrating, and I feel like that's, you know, what has happened to me. And, I'm debating, I'm like, do I want to go out right now? I don't know. Maybe for a walk, I don't know. So, and I know they say the art of war, you have to, but I'm not that kind of person. I'm not manipulative. I don't like to lie. I don't like to be fake. I don't act with people. I am who I am. I wear my heart on my sleeve. So it's been very, 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 very frustrating, this whole experience. And the family thing has just totally thrown me for a loop because I don't know sometimes who to trust. You know, I don't. I'll be honest. I you know, because when you're overly trusting as an individual by default, you know, you try to see the best in people, and then people will be like, oh, she's super gullible, she's naive, we can trick her. And then they take advantage of you, and it's like, that's not fair. So that, and then it's like, if you're not a bitch, right? If you're not a bitch, like, when you are a bitch or you stand up for yourself, people look at it as obstinate or defiant, rebellious, belligerent, right? And that's just you exercising your divine feminineness, right? Or your womanhood and your rights, essentially. So I don't know if other people, I don't know, maybe how you people navigate it, or some people, I don't know if they're targeted, how did their family respond to it? Do they believe you? Because I've been trying so hard because of the, you know, my family, they, you know, and that's the thing, I told myself, I go, can I trust people in family? You know, because they're the ones that have direct access to you, right? And what a perfect way for an enemy, to use people like that against you, or to turn them against you, or whatever. You know, and I'm the kind of person, not to say I was like a daddy's girl, but like, I grew up with, like, literally, I'm not saying, like, I'm not kidding, I grew up very privileged. I had everything. I always had food on the table. I went to private Catholic school. Anytime I wanted to change my career, my family was like, yeah, or like change my career path, they're like, yeah, go whatever. When I went from like studying English to sociology, and then I've done psychology, then I thought I wanted to be a PA, like a physician assistant, and then I studied occupational therapy after COVID. I was in sales, you know, I was a sales representative. Literally, like, I've done a lot. I've done everything. I've done everything except construction. Not everything, but like engineering, or I've done education, like early childhood education, because I was a teacher's assistant at one point. You know, I guess the word multifaceted, which is good, because then that lends itself, I'm kind of adaptable and I could do any industry or whatever. But like, at the same time, I'm just like, I just don't get it. I don't get how adults can bully other adults. Like, you have 24 hours in the day, and you're gonna sit there creating a whole plot and scheme on how to undermine somebody. Like, why are you gonna do that? I don't do that to other people. I have no desire to do that. I've never had any desire for this whole thing to seek retribution or get revenge on people. Because, you know, there's quotes on Instagram where they're like, oh, no revenge because God saw it and karma's gonna come for people, you know? And I get that. Yeah, karma does come. And I don't know, I think some people think they're so infallible, or they think they're impervious to, like, karma or consequences. And I know that every action has an equal or opposite reaction, so it's like, I don't fuck with that. I don't fuck with spiritual debt, spiritual karma. karmic debts. Like, I don't do that. It's funny because I saw a skit recently where these people from LA, they're actors, and they were like kind of making a parody of people who were into like woo-woo stuff and crystals and tarot. It was actually pretty funny. They were it was a little exaggerated because it's not all like that. Not all people that do the chakras and the sound bath healing. Some of people are shysters, I agree. Some people are not who they say they are, but I'm not. I don't think I'm like that. I don't, you know, intuition, I do believe we all have that ability, but it was pretty funny how, like, you know, they were like kind of doing a parody on spirituality. And they're like, I'm cleansing your aura, and they put a little sage stick, which I don't like the smell of sage, no offense to people that do saging, and they're like, I'm cleansing the aura, and they're like, tap the deck, and, you know, I forgot the name of the channel, but they're actually really funny. They pretend to be like a rich couple in Hollywood. They're very talented people, actually, very, very talented. Like, they'd be great SNL people. I vouch for them getting on SNL, because they're that good. Comedy is not easy. So, anyways, yeah, so that's my vlog for today. I feel really blessed to be alive. I still can't believe half the year is over. It's pretty amazing. I mean, it's July, so it's 6 more months till Christmas. I'm like, I hope I make it to Christmas, because every day, I really don't know. I really don't know. When you're targeted, it's such a gamble. Every day is like a mystery, honestly. Like I get nervous to step outside my door. I get nervous to step outside my door. I get nervous sometimes the clothes that I wear, because people will mess with your detergent. Oh, that's another thing. I have had people recently come into my apartment and move stuff around. I don't know how they have access, but someone does. And because my doggy cam was moved, you know, and I didn't move my doggy cam, and I know Bonnie didn't do that because she wouldn't be able to do that. So to me, I tell myself, who is the person that did that? I don't know. Did you do pee-pee, baby? Oh, she did poo-poo and pee-pee. So, oh, that's a lot of pee. So, yeah, it's been very interesting, to say the least. And I'm trying my hardest to keep my wits about me. For the life of me, I don't understand how people can hurt other people and get away with it, you know. I don't look at this as a test. I don't look at this as a science project. I'm a human being, and I have feelings and emotions, and I matter. And I don't get how people cannot get arrested because of this stuff, because I'm pretty sure the only way that hacking is legal or surveillance is legal is if you have a search warrant. That's what I understand, is that if you have a search warrant, it's okay. But if you don't, then it's illegal to spy on someone or hack their phone. For the people out there that aren't going through this stuff, be really grateful, because I forget that people are still living their life, you know, like their lives go on, and people don't understand the brevity or the magnanimity of the situation that people that are targeted go through. You get lied about, you get scammed, you get bullied, and then people won't touch you, so there's no touch torture, essentially is how it works. And then, they'll lie about you to people in the community. They'll put you on neighborhood watch. And it's really frustrating. Really, really frustrating. And every day is a battle, essentially. You don't know what you're going to, be met with. Stop. That's my armpit. Stop. Bonnie loves to lick my armpits. I don't know why. So I didn't put that much makeup on because it's like towards the end of the day. There's really no need for me to put on a full face of makeup. I don't need to waste it like that. Yeah. blessed, number one, that I was able to overcome whatever, if there was a cold, if there was a virus, COVID, whatever. I feel really blessed that I was able to overcome that. And for people out there, please wash your hands. COVID may have happened years ago, but it's still out there. The flu, you know, there's always a new virus or a new bug or whatever that'll come out, I'm sure, or develop or mutate. So be mindful of that, and be mindful of your surroundings and the people that you think you can trust. Be mindful that maybe you can't, and that's a very sad feeling. I recognize that. So, you know, yeah, but also don't be discouraged, because I think the point of this whole program or things is to discourage people and to test their psychological resiliency and adaptability. So, and I would like to think that I have a good amount of that. I'm gonna do a course on that soon. Not me, like teach a course, but learn about it. So yeah, I think just, yeah, be mindful of that. I don't even know if I have time to go out right now. It's so late. Some things close early here in Chicago. Some things are open late, and other things close. So I'm just like, I don't know. You know, I don't have a lot of food. But anyways, what was I gonna say? I think that's it. And just really, you know, be grateful for your life. My life changed drastically just from one thing, you know. And it feels like such a mystery. There's so many question marks I still have. And that's the other frustrating part, is the elusiveness, right? The ambiguity behind what's going on. Because people, you sit there and you're like, because I've watched videos on gang stalking and targeting, and I go, why do people, I'm like, what's the point of this whole thing? Like, is it some initiation ritual? Is it true that they say like there's some like elite people in like these circles where they like hunt people, you know, like the Hunger Games, and they like just pick people at random, like regular civilians, and then they watch them suffer, and then all the people that are like, oh, it's the government, and you're like, but why would they do that, you know? Why would they do that? I don't know. I really, I don't know. I don't understand it. You know, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. And I also, and I'm not the kind of person where I get angry. I try not to get angry too much, but I sit here and I go, and you don't want to, you know how they say, like, oh, if you do good deeds, if you do the right thing, then you'll go to the kingdom of heaven and there's salvation. I never lived my life that way. I never was good to get good back, you know? So it's like, but it is weird. I tell myself, why is it that, like, if you do the right thing, you follow the rules, you obey the law, and you have people trying to undermine you or hurt you and trick you, right? What is it? Are you hungry? Oh, I know you're hungry. I do. Oh, that's what I was gonna get you. I forgot I needed to get you something. I needed to get you food. I know, I'm gonna get you, so hold on. That's what I forgot. I was like, I knew I needed to get something. I usually write down everything. My brain, oh God. I'm the kind of person that if I don't write stuff down, I need to write I literally have to-do list here, grocery list, to-do list over there. I write it down over there. I put it on my phone because I will forget, kind of. So, yeah. I don't know. Just this whole thing has been very, 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 very strange to me. The scariest part, and I don't mind saying this, I do get nervous about being trafficked or kidnapped and stuff, because the gases and stuff really scared me the most. because I'll go somewhere. I've been in hotels, I've been in Uber cars and Lyfts, and there'll be weird gases, like where I feel like I'll be sedated, like I all of a sudden out of nowhere. And it's not narcolepsy. I'm not narcoleptic. I literally will just, I'll be like sleepy, or it'll feel like hard to breathe sometimes. And if you're like, oh well, that's a panic attack. No. I know the difference between a panic attack and I may put some eyeliner. I don't know. I know the difference between a panic attack and having a seizure. Fortunately, knock on wood, I don't think I've ever had a seizure. I thought I had a pseudo seizure once years ago. I was so overwhelmed and traumatized after work one day that I literally my brain froze, because that's essentially what a seizure is. We used to tell the kids when I was a child life specialist in the hospital, when a seizure was something like if you had a brain freeze, because your brain has, right, your brain is transmitting messages between different neurons and synapses and whatnot, and neurotransmitters and all that good stuff. If you don't know neuropsychology or biology, there you go. Yeah, I thought I had a pseudo seizure once, and that's the thing. People don't realize gang stalking, the way it affects your brain is, it's both fascinating on a biological level or physiological level, but to go through it is horrible. And then if you don't get the help you need because people don't take you seriously, that's frustrating too. So yeah. I don't know how all this is gonna turn out. I don't think there's a one, quick fix type of thing. I know, Bipper, I'm gonna get you stuff in a second. And I'm not kidding when I say some days I feel like I've been revived back to life. I don't know how to explain that. Some days I do feel like I get brain freezes, or I know there's a condition called dysautonomia where you feel like you're sinking, or you'll be sleeping and all of a sudden you'll wake up. It's not like sleep apnea, but you'll wake up and you'll feel like you can't breathe. I look like I'm putting on war paint. It's not war paint. It's just, I was like, I need to add color to my skin. So, I get nervous about that too. I get nervous about someone coming into my apartment and messing with my makeup and putting stuff on my sponges or putting stuff in my soap, because that's what they'll do too. Or my toothpaste. There was a point, I remember with some of my toothpaste or my toothbrushes, I would use my toothpaste and my heart rate would out of nowhere just skyrocket, and I felt really dizzy and weird. I would get a headache, and I'm like, does that happen? I'm like, can people put stuff in someone's toothpaste? I don't know. It's frightening. And then I also wonder too, I go, maybe someone lied about me, and then that lie escalated, and then it turned into something, and then they don't have any substantial proof, but people believe in lies, right? That's another thing I thought about. Right, Bimber? Oh, you're so cute. Isn't she so cute? I'm sorry, this is a mess. So this is a sofa bed. It's very interesting to sleep in this, I will be honest. And I tell myself, was it the right move for me to do a green couch? It's essentially a couch. It's called a boneless couch. So you can morph it. I know this looks horrible. Here, baby, I'm gonna move your toys over here. But yeah, you morph it into a bed. It's pretty comfortable, I will be honest. It's kind of it's very cushiony. But I wonder if I told myself, my parents did get it for me. So that's the thing, I can't really fault my parents because they've gotten me furniture and all this stuff. But my heart tells me I really do wish I could move, in all honesty. I am not a city girl. It's funny, I used to be though. You have something in your eye. I used to be a city girl. And then that changed. I'm originally from Miami, Florida, so I'm Miami 305. But but now I'm thank you. What? What, baby? What? So, you're so funny. I always wonder if she's older than her age. So she's 6 years old now. But, what? But yeah, I'm not really a city girl anymore. I feel like I'm more I would do much better, like not in the super countryside. That's another thing of people who are targeted. They're like, we should live off grid and live off the land. And I'm like, I can't live off the land. I mean, you can. I don't have the funds or ability to do that. I know there's something with Habitat for Humanity. It's called sweat equity. And you can, she's thinking, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? And, you can like build a house, like you volunteer your time to build your own home, and you put in an investment like manual labor to build your own house, but you have to have income coming in. And that's the issue, is that when you're if you don't have a job, then you don't have income coming in, and that's frustrating, right? She's like, yeah, Mom. And for the people that are like, why do you have a dog if you don't have a job? Or I mean, I did get hired, but that's such a question mark for me, to be honest. Because, see, she puts her paw on my shoulder. Put your head on my shoulder. What? What are you? She put her paw on my arm. I recently heard that when dogs reach, like if you're petting them, and they put their paw on you like that, that means that's their way of trying to pet you or like reciprocate, right? Can you shake your hand? Thank you so much. So yeah, oh my God, baby, your fur. Oh, I need to brush you. A bunch of hair, just like she had this extra hair sticking out, and I just went like this, like by her butt here. Look at all this hair, just like, look, hold on. This is the fun part about being a dog mom. Look at this. I think this is called undercoat, if I'm not mistaken. And this is the reason why, sorry, that I wanted to work remotely, because I know if I worked in person somewhere, she would be devastated. Like, she and I got so used to each other. And if I worked somewhere full time, like in person, then she would be, hi, what are you doing? Why are your eyes popping out like that? So she would be really devastated. What? Are you smelling your hair? And yeah, so I don't know. Honestly, it's so funny because yesterday I looked to try to see, I was like, what Airbnbs are available? And it's literally in my budget. So I know people do a lot of co-living right now, where basically they find a roommate, or like, and I was, in all honesty, I was considering that at one point. I was considering doing that, like trying to find a roommate. I know there's apps that you can go on to try to find roommates called like Roomies, and I was really keen on doing that at one point. Like I really was like, I need to, because I was like, I can save on cost. I can, maybe someone will be forthright and honest, and maybe it'll be fun, and it'll be like a sleepover. I would be more willing, I think, to do it. A lot of the people that I know are men, and please don't judge me for when I say that. It's just people that I've either dated in the past or that I met before from when I lived in other states. What? And I did think about that, but the thing is that at one point it became very, very, your hair is everywhere. My dog's fur is like, I just looked under the TV console and there's so much dog hair. That's one of the downsides of when you have hardwood floors or laminate floors, the dog hair accumulates, especially if you have a dog that sheds. Don't touch that stuff. Because you shed everywhere. So, you're so silly. Why are you so silly? So, that's the thing, is that I have considered doing that with people that I've either dated, but then wouldn't that get complicated? I just feel like, and then you throw in the targeting aspect of it, and that's really hard, right? Because it's like, it's such a weird situation. because I don't live like you all do, like normal people do. I have to like neutralize my food. I have to secure proof my home. I have to, seriously, stop. I have to, the couch looks so messy. I have to, you know, I have security cameras in my home. I have to worry about hacking. I have to worry, hi, you know, I have to worry about people, you know, coming into my apartment, and rearranging stuff or putting stuff on my books, or, you know, high touch point stuff. When I say high touch point, I mean like, what are things that I frequently touch, like my computer keyboard, doorknobs, door handles, you know. What are you doing? She's being so silly. You're being so silly. So I have considered the roommate thing. It's just, and it would save on cost, but the thing is, how trustworthy are people? And I recently, it's funny, and the guy cursed me the fuck out. He literally, I tried to not have him be on my channel because he said some really mean, with expletives, when I told him that I decided I wasn't going to room with him. He really cursed me out and really got angry and upset. And like, I was like, imagine if I lived with him and I said something that bothered him or did something that bothered him. Imagine like how that would have turned out. Because this dude literally, like, he literally cursed me the fuck out. Called me retarded and a nigger ass bitch, hoe ass, something like that. And I go, can you imagine? It was so uncalled for. And I get that it didn't really go the way that he wanted. And this was someone that I met, which I'm not gonna get too much into because I don't like to bash people like that. But I met him through my channel here, and I was considering moving, you know, to another state and whatever. And I go, I can't do that with someone. So if I ever roomed with anyone, it would have to be someone that I've known for like a while and that I would be able to trust. And that's really hard, because if I already have apprehension or reluctance with family members sometimes, where I go back and forth and I go, can I trust my family? Can I not? And because my family keeps saying, if you ever equate us or, you know, ever think that we do anything to hurt you, then we don't want to talk to you anymore. And I'm like, but there was a time where they would say, oh no, nothing's happening to you, and they would negate it and made me feel like I was crazy. And so I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. I think it's just, and I've considered like public housing. I know there's Section 8 housing and stuff, and I don't mind disclosing that. This is my journey. This is my life, you know. It's just things happen and things turn out the way that you least expect them to. So, and I don't ever want to use people for money. I'm not that type of woman. You know how people do the sugar baby thing? I'm not the kind of person that would do that. I don't believe in that. I mean, I know people do it. I just don't I think it's really selfish to use people for their money like that. Like, especially older men. And older men, you know, like, let's say there's a man who's widowed, right? Let's say someone's wife passed away, or they get divorced and they like want a second chance at love, and then they see someone, it's usually the girl's younger than the guy, and then they'll like, the girl will use the man, and he'll like, or she'll he'll buy her, like, he'll pay for her school tuition, he'll buy her handbags, and the thing is, for me, I don't give a shit about that stuff. Like, I mean, I will be honest, I do like clothes, but not like expensive clothes. I do like little tchotchke kitchen home goods type of stuff. That's more my personality than, I don't really care about high-end stuff, like high-end fashion. I know there's people that do, but I really don't care about that. More the clothes that I wear, it's like if I find, like, I get stuff on sale. I'm really big on sales. I love when there's a good sale. Because why are you going to buy something full price when you can get it for like 50% off? And good quality stuff. Right, Booger? You agree with me? She agrees. Her tail's wagging, so that means she agrees. You look like you're posing for something. Right? You look like you're posing for something. So yeah, I've considered the roommate thing. I just think I've done pros and cons lists. Like I do pros and cons lists for everything. When I feel like there's a big decision that this is why I'm like, I know that I'm not bipolar. I know that I'm not impulsive. I don't have borderline personality disorder because I think so rationally. I try to go, my mom used to say A to Z. She used to say, make sure you think A to Z. And meaning like you go through all the possible scenarios of stuff. And, I try to think through my decisions and as best as I can. But I will do a pros and cons list in my notes app, and I'll go, what are the pros of, doing this? Like I've done the pros and cons for, bless you. Bless you. Let me turn this off. I sometimes get nervous that my AC, because the AC, it's like a window unit, so half of it sticks out into the back, and people have been working on the stairwell, the fire escape over there for a bit. They've been like repainting it or whatever. I'm not gonna, anyways, and I get nervous that someone could put something in the AC. Oh, I just realized maybe that's what someone did. Because I was like, when the doggy cam was moved, I was like, maybe that's what someone did. Maybe they put stuff in the AC, because I sat by the AC, and when I was breathing it in, I felt really weird. Like I felt like I couldn't breathe right. And I felt very like lightheaded and dizzy. Because yes, I have been exposed to refrigerants and weird gases and stuff. It's not fun. You look cozy. You look so cozy. There's a big sneeze. So, yeah, rooming with someone, it's, that would be a huge risk, just because, and I know I would never do that ever on Airbnb, because that's a stranger. Imagine if I'm living by myself, right? So imagine if I'm in a building in my own space. Imagine if someone has direct access to you and to your food. Like, think about that. That's like a targeted individual's worst nightmare. Think about someone, they have direct access to you. They know your sleep schedule. They're sleeping across from you or whatever, in the same house as you or in the same apartment. And I have people, I'm living in an apartment building in my own space with my locks on the doors and whatever and cameras. Imagine if someone has direct access to you, the damage that they could do. I can't, unfortunately, so I tell myself it would have to be someone that I really, really trust. And so I've been kind of, I'm not privy to doing, like I've already, even in dating, like I have trouble with dating. Imagine having a roommate, like it would be really difficult. And that's honestly, I think, what the gang stalker people, if they had their way, that's probably what they would want me to do anyways, because then it's like, because what I've heard in the gang stalking world is essentially those people become your handlers. The people closest to you become your handlers. And what that means is, when I say handler, what I mean by that, I'm gonna put my earrings on. What I mean by that is it's people that are assigned to essentially keep tabs on you. They're there to, we're gonna put this over here. They're there to monitor your whereabouts, your stuff like that, and to keep you in check, I guess. I don't know. What do you think, baby? I'm like, do I need to be in check? Do I need to be tamed? Am I an animal in a zoo? I don't think so. I'm a human. Last I checked, I don't think I'm a mammal. I can talk. I can think. I have a conscious mind. I'm gonna fix my hair. So it's so funny, because literally an outing for me, my idea of an outing, how people get ready to go out like on a date, or they go to like an event. My outing is like the equivalent of me going on an outing is like me going to like the post office or a drugstore. Like, I don't mean drugs, like like a pharmacy, or like that's my outing for the day. It's like literally when I go out, I'm like and as an empath person, when you go out, it's like you already feel people's energy as it is. So when you go out, I just find it funny, you know. I make myself giggle because I'm like, that's my outing. I get all dressed up and I'm like, I go out for what is an hour to either, you know, go grocery shopping or go to run an errand or whatever. I just find it funny. Meanwhile, there are people that actually get dressed to go out, like, for their job or on a date or I don't know. I don't know. Yo no sé qué. I hate when I have to do my hair and then I see like one little area that has curly hair or wavy hair and I'm like, no! Like, I thought I got to you already. I will say though, what's funny is that since I have such thick hair, losing all that hair thinned it out immensely. And I used to pay like $200 back home in Florida when I got my hair done at the salon by this one guy who was the only person that knew how to do my hair. And he would legit use this little device, tool thing, to thin out my hair. So he removed all like the excess thickness. So now it's like I actually have thinner hair and I'm like, it worked out to my advantage. I just don't want to lose all my hair because if I literally, that's what I was going to show. Was like if I show how much I put it, so I'm waiting to like find a good doctor that's trustworthy and honest because I put it as if this is how much hair I've lost. Look at all this hair. Look at all this hair. That's my hair. I know it looks gross and I'm sorry that the doctor in me, the unofficial nurse practitioner doctor, LPN, you know, I can't help but like, I don't know, my mind, there's more hair over here, so it's funny. This is my prayer shrine area. If you're wondering, I will show I do have a prayer shrine. And no, there's no voodoo. There's no demons or demonic things. It's literally, I have a happy box. I have my happy box, which I have shown before over here. This is my happy box. This is from my Nana. And other trinkets that I've had. Like I've got this from Fortune Cookies. Like this one says, this was on my computer. I taped this on my computer and then it came off. But it said, perseverance is the key to success. Great ambitions make great people. This is my panda coin. I take much pride in this. This is when in Washington, D.C. at the Smithsonian. We save species. And I forgot the panda's name. I think it's Bao or something. But see, you can kind of see the panda on there. I think pandas are really cute. Then we have other stuff. My Nana's bracelet from, I think it's from Mexico. I'm not sure. It says pesos on it. I don't know if it's actual gold. I think it's real gold. I'm not sure. I'm not going to sell it. No, I would not sell this. That's my trinket of hers. And then but this is my little prayer shrine. I have my little prayer box. I have my Saint Benedict. I do, when I get nervous about being poisoned or something like that, I will pray to Saint Benedict and I'll be like, please, I don't know what you look like. I think you're an old man with a long beard. Kind of like an abbot. But, I like to think that it works. Maybe. I don't know. And then I have my little angel pouch. And then I have my little Alex and Ani bracelets with a bunch of little charms on them. I used to be obsessed with Alex and Ani, the brand. Like this is my Cinderella one. This one says, I've had it for years. The only thing that got really rusty, and it says true love on it. And then, because I see the little birds. The little birds! The little love birds. And then this one reminds me of the Holy Spirit actually because it's a dove. I forgot why I got it, but it has a little dove on it. And then this one says, this is the Wonder Woman one when Wonder Woman came out, the movie with Gal Gadot. Is it Gadot? I don't know how to say her name. It says truth, love, and justice. So it's Wonder Woman. Has the Wonder Woman sign at the top. And then I have one that says pray more, worry less. This one says, is this St. Christopher? St. Christopher. And then I have St. Jude. I think there's one of St. Jude. Anyways, I digress. I always end up getting off topic. But that was my hair that I've saved. I have yet to find a good PCP. The PCP that I wanted, I basically learned that she, you know, because I wanted a physician specifically, not to say that like nurse practitioners or PAs aren't good doctors, but I don't know, I wanted a doctor, and I found out that Planned Parenthood, which is where the PCP allegedly was located, they don't have PCPs, so I had to go and change that. So yeah, right, baby? So interesting developments. Will I ever get justice? I don't know. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know. And it's really frustrating when you're like an energy reader or whatever, and you could, you read energy. And I will say, oh, today's Spiritual Sunday. Oh my God, today's Spiritual Sunday. I was supposed, oh, you know what? I was supposed to do, oh, it's 9 o'clock. I was supposed to do a reading. Maybe I'll do it now. Maybe I'm going to pause this and I'm going to do it a little bit different. I'm going to do it sitting here. Maybe I'll just do my reading like this. I finally have chairs. My parents got me these chairs. See, that's the thing. I don't know what to think about that because I don't know. My readings do keep saying be willing to forgive. It says it over and over, be willing to forgive. Oh, look, right here. That's the card. It was earlier today I was doing it. Be willing to forgive. And the bottom says, ask the angels to clear your mind and body of past pain in exchange for peacefulness. So I don't know, actions do speak louder than words, but I do also recognize that when people get close to you and they have direct access to you, that's the perfect way for the enemy to trick you, right? Or sneak in and infiltrate your life and hurt you. So, I don't know. But what I was going to say, it is frustrating when you feel like you're pretty sensitive to energy and you can tell when people are lying and being dishonest or deceitful, or they have ill intentions for you, and you give nothing but love and compassion, and everyone else is like, no, I want to trick you and see you suffer. And I'm like, why would you want to see someone suffer? Why would you not want to champion other people? You know what I mean? Why would you do that? Like, why would you as a person want to sabotage another human being's life, let alone kidnap them, traffic them? Because I'm not kidding. I've had moments where I think I've been close to almost being kidnapped, knock on wood, not kidnapped, adult napped. And people just sit back like it's no big deal. I'm almost like tempted to see if I went along with it. Like, let's say it happened, right? Let's say someone literally drugged me up enough to sedate me and make me, more uninhibited. Because right when you're drugged up or someone does something like that, then you're less conscious, right, of your sensory capabilities, your motor capabilities get affected, right? That's why alcohol, drugs, and all that are such good things. Like, they're good ways for people to incapacitate you, because if you're drugged up, if you're sedated, if you're like dulled down, like think about the women who get sex trafficked, right? It's the same thing. I'm sure they drug them up so they're more impressionable, right? They're more liable to acquiescing or like being more agreeable, right? Because I'm sure drugs do that to people. That's why people do drugs, so they don't have to feel as much, they don't have to think as much. It's a form of escapism. My escapism is music. That's what makes me happy. Other people do drugs to be happy. Now, I'm not discrediting, people that do. If you do smoke weed, I'm not getting on that, but it's more so like people, like when people use date rape drugs, right? Like when people, when guys roofie a drink or something, to make a girl more agreeable, right? More dumbed down, because if their senses and their cognitive capabilities are dulled or diminished, they're going to be more easily persuaded, right? Or manipulated. So anyways, yeah, I just it's hard. This whole thing has been very, very difficult, and my heart tells me, yeah, move, leave, but it's not that easy. I kind of just feel stuck. And the other frustrating part are people that will tell you everything that you want to hear. Like recently that's happened to me, where someone was like, they said all the right things and they seemed like they had the utmost intentions, and then I pulled cards on them and it said the complete opposite, that they were mentally unstable, that they were kind of toxic, and they were not being forthright about their identity or their
their motives, you know, or wanted to take advantage and stuff like that. And I was just like, you never know, you know. You think the nicest people, like, oh, they're gonna be so nice and they're gonna be so kind, and then you find out that they were lying to you or cheating or, you know, I don't know. Also, when you're a nice person, I guess people take advantage of that, and I don't know. I'm trying my best to learn. I signed up for so many courses recently for my professional development units to maintain my certification. And interesting, my cards, I just pulled them apart. And excuse the sirens in the background. Here come the sirens! I don't know if you can hear that. Can you hear that? Can we hear that or no? Maybe a little bit. I don't know. So yeah, what else was I was gonna say? I forgot what I was gonna say. Yeah, so it's been very difficult navigating this whole experience. I don't know if I always wonder, I'm like, is there an active investigation going on? Like, or like, you know, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, you know. So yeah. I'm hoping things will get better. I'm trying to find a good solution, and the people that are facilitating this whole thing, they make it really difficult. And right when you think you're making progress and you're taking steps forward, people try to throw a wrench. And like recently I tried opening a bank account for this new job that I got offered, which I'm not even like 100% sold on because I don't know, I anticipate, because of past experiences, I anticipate things going awry, you know. Which is sad, because maybe these people have the utmost best intentions, but I don't know, I already automatically, by default, I go, oh no, they're gonna hurt me, they're gonna trick me, it's, you know, it's a fake job, or it's it's gonna be riddled with bullies, and I don't know, like they're gonna do subtle passive aggressive, you know, bullying or mind control or whatever. But like, I try not to think about it too much, but that's what I get nervous about. And you want to love where you work, right? You want to love what you do. So I never want to do anything for a paycheck. And I've met people who do that, where they literally just go to a job and they don't give a shit. And with kids too, people who worked with kids. And I'm like, kids are so much fun to work with because they're so real. They're so, you know, effervescent and authentic. You know, they have no filters. So, and they're just fun because they're so cute and so happy, and, you know, anyways, yeah, so I will see. I don't know, you know, I want to prepare myself for success and I want to do well in the role, but I will say it's hard. And I've tried to explain this to my parents and my family, that it's hard to work and try to live your life when you are actively being like hunted. I guess, I don't know if it's hunted or played with or messed around with. It's hard, you know, because like even the last job I had a really short stint at a remote healthcare company, and I wasn't trained properly, unfortunately. The training was very much like, here's the instructions, go figure it out. It was a brief overview, like it was an outbound sales role where like in healthcare, not sales, sorry, it was an outbound, like you had to basically, you were doing a health risk assessment for people, and I was so excited that I even got hired, and I went to such lengths, like there was such a comprehensive verification process. Like you had to get a background checks are customary, but I had to get a drug screen And the day before, 2 days before, I think I was exposed to either a heavy metal or some drug. And so I scheduled the drug screen for a day after that day because I was nervous. I was like, oh God, what if it shows up in my thing or whatever? But luckily I was approved, so that was okay. But I remember I got 2 desktop monitors and they're still sitting in the closet. Like I was gonna return them to Amazon, but then I was like, what if I need them? So then the Amazon return window, like it was already past the Amazon return window. And I try to be really conscientious about that because Amazon offers really good customer service. I don't know, that's my opinion. I've always been a fan of Amazon. If you haven't, then whatever, but I have been a fan of Amazon for a while. And so unfortunately I wasn't able to get them back, but I kept them because I go, what if I need them again? But then, then I saw recently, I found a desktop monitor that was pink and it was so cute. And I love girly stuff. Like I'm really into girly stuff, which is, the other thing is, shout out, just to be mindful, gang stalker people will use the things that you like to lure you into places. Like, like when you have a serial killer, like I'm talking like, when there's a serial killer and they try to lure you, like they will use things that are to your liking. Like I love sweets. I love, flowers. I love sales for clothes, like clothing sales. I love candles. I love artwork. I love what else I was gonna say? Yeah, girly stuff. And I realized people will try to use girly stuff to, for me specifically, to try to lure me into different things, to compromise situations. Or even I've seen some vendors offer sales on different products that I usually buy frequently, and I'm like, probably not. I'm like, remember, gang stalkers, they watch your every move and they can predict your behavior based on past behavior. So like, I try to tell myself, I'm like, remember, you kind of have to put your shoes, you have to think like a criminal. I'm not a criminal, but you have to think if a criminal wanted to hurt you, because it is criminalistic. What these people are doing is extremely criminalistic. They're violating so many laws and obstructing justice and human rights left and right. So it's like, you have to be mindful of that. Yeah, so I try to be mindful of that, so be mindful of that as well. But yeah, I don't know, again, how all of this is going to play out. I feel very blessed and fortunate that I'm still alive. I feel like a cat with like 50 lives at this point. Disregard the noise harassment. That might not be noise harassment. I don't want to take it too far, but there are moments where like I've lived in different places. Like when I was in Philly, it was so loud at some points, like especially in my building here. Sometimes people will literally like slam doors so loud, like it's like noticeable. And you're like, why are you being so angry? I'm the one that should be angry. I'm the one that's getting bullied every single day, for no reason, just because people don't like someone. So it's like, if anything, I should be the one that's upset. But anyways, I am going to do a spiritual reading. And I need to post it today too. I know I end up posting them so late because it is Spiritual Sunday, and I try to be mindful of that. But I've been pulling cards as I do this. And if you want to make fun of me for being a card reader, go right ahead, folks. I really don't, we're all entitled to being who we want to be and what we want to be. And if you as an individual, if you feel like you're more powerful by belittling or making fun of somebody, even if you want to parody me, I don't care, if you want to parody me in something and say, look at the little girl with her cute little dresses and who thinks everything is sunshine, and like, the woman in Enchanted, the character of Giselle in Enchanted, yeah, that's kind of like what I'm like, I guess. I do try to see the good in people. I am a hopeful idealist or a hopeful optimist. You know how they say a hopeful romantic? It's like I'm a hopeful optimist. I never give up on the possibility that things could be good or better or great. good, better, best, you know. So, yeah. Right, baby? What do you think? She's resting. She's resting. So, anyhow, my lips are chapped. Anything else I wish to say? Just, you know, appreciate your life, because your life can change in the blink of an eye. And, you know, there are people who literally will try to get away with gang stalking and trafficking, murder, rape, a bunch of stuff, and then they'll try to deny it after. Scamming. I think scamming is a really big one people do these days. I'm going to do a card reading really quickly because I know I was supposed to do that. I try to vary things up because I don't always just want blogs and this and that and whatever. Majority of the people who follow this thing on the channel, I think, is for Bonnie, which is great, because if my dog can make you happy, that's awesome. I used to follow a lot of different channels of like pet people, like Poppy the prairie dog, Gohan the husky. There was a bunny rabbit named Roman. It was very cute, little bunny. This couple has a bunny, and it's very, very cute. And then there's who else? I know I'm missing probably a few. I used to Tucker Budson. I used to watch Tucker Budson all the time. He's so cute. The golden retrievers. Oh, the people with the dog. Oh my god, the husky people. Oh my god, how can I not remember? Maverick and what's the dog's Blue? Titan, Blue, the Moriarty family. That's what their name is. I'm like, how could I forget these people? I love that their dogs are so cute, and they have a room for their dogs. I'm like, whenever I tell myself, I'm like, am I spoiling Bonnie too much? I'm like, remember, there's a couple who has a room for their dogs, and they treat their dogs like children. It's the cutest thing. They literally have a room, and they have bunk beds for their dogs, and they have a TV. I'm like, there's a lady who owns a duck, and she legit, I kid you not, that's why I'm like, when I tell myself, am I weird for being who I am and loving animals so much and loving flowers and nature? And I'm like, no. Don't let these gang stalker people get to your head and make you feel unworthy or less than. Because there's legit a girl who has like a duck, and she puts the duck in a playpen, and like she bathes them, like she gets a little inflatable pool, and she puts water in it, and the little duckies go. I'm like, I'm not gonna ever make myself feel bad for being who I am, even at 34. Like it's funny because more than ever, this is another thing I want to say. I think as a human race, we need to play more, especially as adults. I think we have this idea or this perception that once you reach adulthood, you can't be silly, you can't play, you can't have fun. More than ever, especially as being targeted like I am and stuff like that, the value of just, and I don't mean play like self-pleasure. If you want to take it that way, that's not bad either. I'm not against people showing love to themselves in different ways. I think it's more of just play. The power of play is, you know, when you think about it, kids, right? They learn through their world through play. They learn about socialization. They learn about gender roles, gender norms, different careers, professions. If you don't know, preschoolers, they do dramatic play. They reenact what they observe in their world. That's why when you go to a preschool and you see their play kitchen, you see their play grocery store, you see their they do a dramatic play area where that's how kids learn about social roles and what's right and what's wrong, what not to do and what to do. That's how they learn proper behavior, right? Is through reenacting what they've observed in the real world. So, and also too, just, you know, playing in general fosters their innate sense of curiosity, right? It cultivates that childlike wonder that, you know, there was a song recently I listened to. I didn't watch the World Cup, but I watched like a snippet of a video that I didn't know. Katy Perry did a song called Wander, and she did it with this little boy. And, you know, I think we've lost sight of people just being silly, like having fun, you know. I really do. I think people like, and it makes me sad. Like right now I'm sad. Like I feel like overwhelmed or overcome with emotion because I feel like the world, and then people chastise and belittle people when they see people having fun or enjoying their life or being silly. They think it's immature. Like, no, you have to be an adult. You're an adult now, you're in your 30s, you can't be silly. Like, I saw a video of a guy twerking. He made a video of himself twerking to the Bad Bunny song Yo Perreo Sola. And I was like, when you see, you know, and I commend people who do that, you know, who are brave enough to put themselves out there and be silly like that. There's a couple, there's a girl, I don't know her name. She dresses up in the funniest outfits and she loves to surprise her husband doing like the funniest shit. And like she'll just be doing cartwheels randomly or handstands in her living room, and she'll dress up like Squidward, handsome Squidward from SpongeBob and SquarePants. And I think that's another thing, by the way, another thing I realized for couples out there, to keep your love alive, play more, have fun, be silly, you know. I think people fall into a routine of mediocrity and boredom, and that's how people fall out of love with each other. And if you're lucky enough to find a partner who can make you laugh, and you know, you can have fun together and be totally yourselves, whether you're just sitting alone in a room being silent, or you can, you know, be silly and, you know, laugh at a funny movie, or make funny jokes. And I don't know, that's important to me. And I've really underestimated the value of just play, you know. Going through all this stuff more than ever, I go, how have I been able to cope through all this psychological turmoil for the past 6 years? How have I been able to overcome tragedy and adversity and injustice and wrongdoing? I relied on play. Like I relied on, like just earlier today, this morning, I don't know why. Some days I feel compelled to sing for fun, and sometimes I'm like, I don't want to, you know, it depends on my mood. But I have like different playlists of music, and just this morning I was listening to a bunch of songs that, like, not from my childhood, but like musical theater or something. For some reason, I don't know why. It's EDM and musical theater, or like, and sports. Those are like the three things that required little to no thought on my end. Like I'm an overthinker by nature, so whenever like some people do drugs, my form of escapism is listening to music. And people that are musicians or artists probably can relate to that. Also cooking has been very helpful, but because of the weird stuff that I went through with my food, I haven't done cooking as much. I've been afraid to cook, actually. And I got really into cooking over the past year and a half, and that was very therapeutic for me. Just the, you know, the preparation of the materials, the vegetables, the seasoning, the marination of stuff. There's like, I don't know why. I don't know, maybe it's because it's an activity that requires different sequences of events, like, you know, of there's different things that you have to do to accomplish the task. So, and when you're cooking, you have to be fully present, right? You have to be very invested in the moment and what you're doing. So you don't really have time to think about the past or the future or what someone did or didn't do to you or what someone will or won't do. So cooking has been very therapeutic for me. Listening to music, singing for fun, that's something. And that's your throat chakra too. That stimulates your throat chakra, right? It's a form of self-expression. Anything, like for any performing arts, dance, music, whatever, that's all a form of self-expression and moving your body and exercise and whatnot. But I really have, and playing too, like with your pets, playing with your dog, playing with your cat, playing, you know, all of that kind of, playing board games, you know, even playing on your phone. Like if you're an adult and you're like, oh, I don't want to play video games anymore, or I don't do that, that's what my 10-year-old son does and I don't want to do that, that's silly. No, it's not. Do you. There's no one, if you hold yourself to the standards of what other people or society tells you, you'll never be happy. And I know that from firsthand experience, because I used to think, okay, I have to be the person, I have to behave in the way that other people want me to behave. And then that left me really disappointed and miserable. Like, don't speak up, don't wear frilly dresses, You can't, don't like the color pink because that's what that's very childish and like stupid. Glitter is silly. You're in your 30s now. You need to act like an adult. You need to dress boring. Wear neutral colors. Don't wear vibrant colors. Or be like a normal 30-year-old, go out and get drunk at a bar, flirt with guys endlessly at a bar. I don't know. What are some other things that feel like implicit or implied society norms? Like writing letters. Who writes letters anymore? Nobody. Just text somebody. An email will suffice. You don't have to. I've been told that before. You don't have to do a thank you letter. Just write an email. And I'm like, but who wouldn't want a letter? Right? Who wouldn't want a letter? Like, tell me who would not want a handwritten with a stamp, with, a sticker on the back? Like, who would not want that? I would love that. I'm sorry, and I've learned that while being targeted, more than ever I've leaned on just really trying to enjoy the things that bring me joy. Like I realized I want to try to make a bracelet for myself, like as a reminder, with a word on it or something. I used to do that with my yoga students, as a tangible reminder to look down and be like, when things get hard, remember to just, use that to help you cope through stuff. And it's all positive psychology, adaptability, resiliency, stuff like that. And if you can find that amidst tragedy and grief and all that, then you found the key to not the happiness, but just coping. I've had to be my own child life specialist, essentially. Even though I'm not a child, I've had to do that. And I kind of tell myself, like, oh, I feel really lucky that I was trained in those things, because I probably wouldn't be able to cope through this whole experience as best as I have. And not to say I don't have bad days. I do have really bad days where I feel like shit. But, yeah. So, I don't know what else I wanted to say. I think that's it for now. To be continued, TBC. I feel grateful to have a roof over my head. You do the best that you can. And if you are someone who is targeted like me, or you're going through a weird situation, just, I don't know, I tell myself that if you can't find the sunshine, you have to be the sunshine. And if you say, well, that's delusional, how do I be happy when I feel like the world is so cruel and people are so mean? But why would you want to be like that with them? If you had the choice of being an asshole or a dick and a jerk over being someone of love and kindness and goodness and grace and humility, whoever you are, no matter what walk of life you come from, whether you're black, white, Asian, Latino, gay, straight, bi, whatever, trans, like, why would you, kindness is free. Why would you choose to be a deliberate asshole? You know what I mean? If you had the choice, why would you choose to be an asshole when you could choose to be someone, like, yeah, maybe mean girls get ahead. Maybe they get promoted. They're the really mean, like, not mean, but the more like selfish, cunning, manipulative, like, do whatever it takes to get ahead person will get ahead. But are they going to be happy? And if you say, well, Ashley, those are the ones that become leaders and they get paid well. Yeah, but are they happy? They may have the penthouse, they may have everything, the corner office, the promotion, the title on LinkedIn, but if you look in their eyes, they're miserable. They have to play the game. They have to kiss ass to their boss. They have to, there's some leaders who are good people. There's some people who run companies and, they do it differently, but a lot of people, they're playing the rat race game, And I think a lot of people more than ever are I don't know if it's Gen Z or millennials, they're breaking generational curses that their family bestowed, or not generational curses, but generational patterns. And they're shifting gears and choosing themselves, in the sense that what I've noticed is people, if they have money saved, they're taking more trips. They're if they're into cycling, they're traveling and cycling at the same time. They're going abroad. They're creating startup businesses. You know, creating apps. You know, they're using their creativity to gain momentum and essentially take control of the trajectory of their life, which is really interesting to see that shift in, like, with the people that are entrepreneurs and people who do engage in sustainability and live off the land. I think that's really interesting to see, because when you think about it, in a world where people want you to be governable, meaning like they want you to be compliant or complicit, there are a lot of people who are like, yeah, I'm compliant and complicit, but I also want to do what makes my soul happy, because you're only given X amount of years in your life, right? And for me, I will be honest, I don't mind saying that I've prided myself on perfectionism to the point where I was so angry with myself if I messed up, or if I made my parents unhappy, you know, in any way. Like, I lived my life for my parents. Like, literally, I everything I did was to try to make them happy so they wouldn't be upset. And it's like, I lost a lot of just, I tell myself, imagine if I would, and also for other people too, I tried to always, for teachers, I wanted to be the good student, the good girl. There's a song that I was listening to recently from, it was today, this morning, and I forgot about it. It's called Alyssa Green, and it's from a musical called The Prom. And it's the story, I forgot that, well, I think the character herself is like, her mom really pushed her to be like the grade A student and try to, you know, always do the right thing and whatever, and sit back, smile, look pretty, and you know, I kind of, not to say my parents did that, but like sometimes I felt like I felt pressure to be that all the time. And that's a lot of pressure for whether, I mean, I don't think they did that on purpose. I think that was me, I think, external pressure I put on myself. And I just, you know, being 34 now, it's like when you start to go, but hey, I want to live for myself. And do so unapologetically, meaning like when you start to radiate more. Or I've noticed that when people, like when I'll be scrolling through Instagram or things with people, and I come across the people who are unapologetically themselves, you know, not where they're arrogant or overly prideful, but when people operate like from a strong sense of self, right? They're very centered, or they don't care about what people think of them, whether they're liked or disliked. They're just going to be themselves regardless. That's very attractive. And it's almost like a moth to a flame, because when people see that you're operating out of, I don't know if they call it your north node, but like when you're operating out of a stronger sense of self and self-confidence, people go, oh, I want that. I want to be around that person, because they have good energy, and they may not know the direction in which their life is headed, but they're always going to figure out, they're going to make a way for themselves no matter what they go through. Because they have a positive attitude, right? And not like in a toxic positivity way, just in a like, you know, I'm gonna make it through and I'm gonna figure it out type of way. So, more sirens, if you don't hear them. Here they come, here come the sirens. I don't know. And I don't mean sirens like mermaids, I mean like sirens like, I sound like a cat. Anyways, I do need to do the reading. In all seriousness though, I shouldn't make fun of that because that could really be like an emergency for somebody, you know. I don't want to ever, yeah. Any losers, I have been pulling cards. Power animal. It's 9:41. I do need to get my dog some food. I keep wondering if I should be getting her like homemade food. I see commercials all the time for like Katherine Heigl's dog food, which is like air dried, like it's called Badlands Ranch. I've been wanting to try that. There's Spot and Tango, I think it's called, kibble. There's the Farmer's Dog. There's a brand called The Honest Kitchen. There's so many dog foods now. I don't even, there's Ollie, Ollie. OLLIE, there's that one. And it's like they send you, the Pets Table from HelloFresh. I tried that. The only thing with that is that they pack it in a way that like you have to thaw it out. You have to put it in the fridge, and it's in a plastic package. It should be like I wish it was resealable because you had to cut it and then it was like, I don't know. But I don't know how really good those cans of dog food are. You really wonder like what's in there, you know. I try to read the label and see what's in there, but you never know. I used to, a year and a half ago, like when I was in Vermont, I was cooking for my dog, and I used to make salmon, chicken. Like I literally used to get a salmon fillet, lightly season it, put olive oil, and she loved it. Because I saw a guy on YouTube feed his animals, like he owns a dog rescue shelter thing, or he has foster dogs, and he would give like these really big dogs, like huskies, like a huge salmon fillet. So I know she's curled up in a little ball right now. She's in the corner, curled up in a ball. She's a really good dog. I know I don't walk her enough. It's also really hot outside, and I'm like, it's so hot. And I've been so afraid to walk in the hallway of my building sometimes that I'm like, I don't know if she is safe to do that. So anyways, I am gonna do a reading. It is Spiritual Sunday, so. But yeah, that's the latest. I don't do vlogging as much, but yeah, TBC. And by the way, if you're like, if you're unemployed and you're unproductive, I try to fill my day with productivity, as best as I can, and so. But message to somebody, back of the deck, cancel, clear, delete, use only positive words and thoughts as they're rapidly manifesting into form. Ask the angels to cancel the effects of past negative thinking. This is usually like with relationships or friendships or thought patterns. You want to get rid of things that no longer serve you. So anyways, I'm going to yeah, I'm going to continue this and see where this goes because I do have some cards out. Every time I say out, it makes me think of Canadian. Out, about. So yeah, we shall see. And as for the roommate thing, that's TBC or TBD, to be determined. I really don't think that would be the best move for me unless it was somebody that I knew really, 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 really well and that I trusted. Because I will never move in with someone that I don't know, that's a stranger. And I also thought too, I was like, at one point I was like, maybe if I partner up with someone else who's also targeted, right? If I room with someone, that would be 10 times worse because at the end of the day, there are some people, which targeting is wrong. You don't bully someone and you don't pick on someone, you know, because they're on a watch list or because they're suspected of something or because their family is targeted or then by default the kid gets targeted or whatever. I think that would make it worse because at the end of the day, you don't know what they did or you don't know what their targeting experience is like, and then it'll be even worse. So it's like, I would prefer to be with someone who, I don't know. But then you also wonder when someone's targeted, anyone who helps you or supports you, they also get thrown into it, unfortunately, and get bullied. So, not fun. But anyways, that's that. And I'm going to try to see. I don't know what's going to come out in the reading. But, yeah. That's that. We shall see.